And I will say that with respect to Sass, when I saw them in person, I saw a bigger discrepancy. Like, and that's not putting him down as much as it's putting Bonac forward.
Yeah,
like
it's just Bonac. Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm Big Ron Partlow. Of course, I'm here with Dusty Hanshaw and the producer, Scott McNally. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
There you go. Ring that bell. And remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Get your all-in, get your ISO surge, and everyone should get on the gear. Dusty and Big Ron are your codes. And I got to thank you guys. I've been seeing my code get used a lot lately. We're getting a lot of emails. Really appreciate it. It's awesome. Thank you very much. So there you go. Remember the Think Big Patreon. Keep the producer homed.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. There you go. Okay. So what is going on, Scott? You went to the Detroit Pro this weekend. You had a front row seat.
Oh my God. I wish you guys were here to see this. It was really cool. To be completely honest, like, it was a fantastic show. I didn't go to prejudging, so I had to work. And so actually, I'll take you back a day. The day before, Luke was here from Mutant. So Mutant had a table and Drea was there and everything. But Luke couldn't set up. So he's like, I got free time. Let's do something. So he trained with Drea and he was like, I think Drea's going to kill me. I talked to Drea at the Arnold. She's like, I'm going to kill him. so yeah, I was like, so what did you guys? Yeah, I was like, so what did you guys train? And he's like, well, she told me we were going to train shoulders. And I was like, okay, good. And then I got there and she's like, we're going to do legs.
Just fucking with you.
That's classic Miss Olympia move, right?
So inconsiderate.
But we took Luke out and showed him a good time in Detroit. We went over to Miller's Bar, where they have these classic, just like old school burgers. I'd only been there one time. They serve them on like a piece of wax paper. That's all you get. Like, here's a wax paper with a burger on it. That was it.
Right.
No
plate.
Yeah, it was good. So we took him there. And then, like I said, Mutant had a table set up. The show was awesome, man. Like, just the whole thing. Sometimes at contests, there's like a lot of stuff you don't want to have to sit through, but you're sitting through. It was just like all the stuff that all three of us love. Like, they did classic. Every single classic guy looked incredible. All their routines were great. I mean, obviously there were better classic guys than others, that's how they picked the winner, but like, everybody looked good. And then bodybuilding was fantastic. It was a cool show. We were sitting right up front. It was great seating. I don't think there was a bad seat in the house though. And Sid from RX Muscle Sid, he was the MC. And oh my God, you guys, he did an incredible job. Like, he had the good announcer voice. Everything was smooth and slick. He knew how to talk and everything rolled perfectly. Like, he did a really nice job with it.
Yeah, he's good. Look at how many episodes of the show he's done.
Yeah. What did you guys think? Did you guys see any of the pictures or anything?
Oh yeah, I watched all the reels as they popped through all day long. You know what I mean? Yeah. We had like a regional show here that same day, and then I had a guy competing in Vegas.
Okay.
At the show in Vegas this weekend. So he won, by the way, won the overall. So shout out to Joey.
Nice.
Won the Masters and the heavyweight and the overall. So I had a guy in Vegas. So I was on my phone a lot on Saturday. I'd checking in with him and then watching the actual show I was at, and then looking at what you were seeing online in Detroit. So it was a busy day,
It was interesting because, like I said, I watched the prejudging on the live stream as I was working, and from the looks of it there, Sasan Heirati looked incredible, by the way. I was surprised by him, and I thought that his back was even better than I thought it was going to be. Because you know how a lot of times you see a guy who's got like really good shape and you're like, yeah, but what's going to happen when he turns around? You know what I mean? And that's where you lose him, or he loses you. But his back was good. He had a really good back. Conditioning was really solid. And from the live stream, I felt like it looked pretty close between him and Bonac. And I will say that with respect to Sass, when I saw them in person, I saw a bigger discrepancy. Like, and that's not putting him down as much as it's putting Bonac forward.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just Bonac.
I was lucky enough to be at the 2020 Arnold backstage when Bonac won. And I was at the 2018 Arnold backstage and shot video of him as he was pumping up. I'll never forget that look. It's burned in my freaking brain just how densely packed he was. And of course, he's not quite that now, but he was pretty darn close. It was like old school Bonac up there. And I'm sorry, but when you put that up there, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat him, even a guy who looked so incredible as Sass. And then did you guys see James? James was came in way heavier. I heard him talking to one of the judges. He was like 12 pounds, I think he said, up.
Yeah, he said maybe even more. I talked to him a bit.
Okay.
He really, really different looking. He was way fuller looking.
Yeah.
So I saw some great pictures of the top guys.
I think too with him, I was talking with him and Sass and James's wife, and she was saying that Stefan had been really clean with the loads. He'd be like, well, eat this much potato. And she was like, no, he needs to go out and eat a burger. And it was her that kind of pushed that direction, and he'd go out and eat a burger and then come back, and the next day he would look crazy. So I think maybe they got a little bit more aggressive with their loading process is what it was.
Right. Well, he needs a ton of food from what he's told me in the past. Yeah. To the point where for most of us, I can load on 8 ounces of potatoes 5 times, ready to roll. And he puts down a house of food, and somehow his midsection doesn't fill out, but everything else does, so pretty nuts. We do have to make sure we add that one of Mutant's own athletes was top 5 there. So, and Ron, you're gonna have to say his name because I don't actually know how to say Eiren. Eiren.
There you go. Yeah, Eiren Gauley.
Okay.
Yeah, great guy.
He looked awesome.
Yeah, he turned pro up here a few years ago, and he comes in really great condition at the pro shows. He's always shredded.
Yeah. So that was good to see. Something we were working on in Mutant is we have a lot of people that are phenomenal, and for a while they weren't telling us when people were being added. So I actually just asked for a list of who our other pros were, and I'm like, how was I not following this guy? He's a freak.
Did he have the blonde hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Tall,
yeah, he was really crazy
big
looking.
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah, he gets up to 340 off season. He's an enormous dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked really good.
Yeah, he's huge though. For those of you that have never met Eiren, I don't know if he's 6'2" or 6'3", but I look up to him, and he's humongous. So yeah, he's one of those guys, just giant on stage. I'm sure Bonac standing next to him. How many guys were in the show?
Oh God, there was 3 call-outs. So
yeah. There's some short guys and there's some tall guys. It would have been a hell of a lineup.
Yeah. And hey, who was that guy? Ronald Gordan. Ron Gordan. He's Detroit native.
Oh yeah.
So a tall dude. So when he posed, he chose to pose with no music. All right. He said he wanted to pose to the audience's response. They're clapping. And it was traditional old school art bodybuilding. You know what I mean? What you would think of back in the 60s when they didn't have all the production and all that. You just kind of waited for it, and he'd kind of set up and it'd get a little bit quiet. And then boom, he'd come out with a lat spread, and all of a sudden you'd hear the applause. And maybe there were some poses that weren't as strong. You didn't hear as much. But then he had hit a pose that was really good, and the crowd they lit up and they supported him dramatically. It was really cool, and I think it made everybody else kind of feel more a part of, you know what I mean? It was a cool experience.
Did the announcer say he's chosen not to pose to music, or did he just come out and do a musicless routine?
No, he said what I just told you. Yeah, set it up that way so that the audience knew, hey, this is how Ron's going to do this. So he did that in the morning, and he did that in the night show too. So it was cool. It was cool, and the audience was good.
I would never do that because I'm not good enough to expect them to actually clap. At the very end when I waved, the place
heart would just break.
He's done.
Just hear my soul. My soul dying.
I'm up there with crickets.
It was cool. The audience was great. Like everybody there was like loud and rowdy and ready to have fun. Everybody was really cool. Getting to see the face off between Greggo, who I thought Greggo was the deserved winner, by the way. You know, as much as Vissers looks awesome, and I know that there were some people that felt like it should have been him. I saw it in the live stream in the morning personally, and then in person, it was interesting because when they came out, to me it was Greggo from the start. And when Wesley turned around, his glutes were not conditioned. Like you just didn't see the lines, though he has such an amazing stage presence. It's like he knows how to really play the audience and get that. So he's got magic. But the thing is that that I found interesting is that as the show went on, Greggo started fading a little bit, and the lines in his quads didn't look quite as sharp, but Vissers got better. By the end of the night, Wesley Vissers was his all-time best of the entire day, whereas I was kind of like biting my nails, like, I think Greggo's going to get it, but is he going to hold on long enough tonight? You know, go back and drink some water, bud. Something like that. Something like that. And he's an Aceto guy. He mentioned Chris on stage, too.
Nice.
Yeah. Your mic's off, Ron.
Muted again. Dogs are going
I got
nuts
some
there.
dog bark and stuff going on, so I got to
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to Chris a bit this weekend, so he was happy.
Oh, yeah. What'd he say?
You know, sort of sent me a text full of typos and misspelled words with no punctuation.
Yeah.
And it was something like Greggo. I said this would happen, and then something about Sean Ray. And I didn't quite understand what he meant, but I assumed it was a joke, and I laughed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was, but he said something. Yeah, it was like obviously a voice text, like a bad voice text.
No, he typed every word. Still the same.
Well, maybe not the whole word.
I've sent 2 people to Chris who have forwarded me texts and said, "Please tell me what this says." And I've worked with him long enough I could read it perfectly and just tell them this is what he meant.
Something about Sean Ray says my mom could prep Greggo.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think he means because it's full of like words that aren't words. Yeah, and then some says I don't know. It goes on. I didn't reply. I was like, "Oh, that's good enough. Chris is busy."
It's amazing.
That's fun. So what did you think, Scott? Obviously, Fuad and his team are putting together a show for bodybuilders. We had him on. We talked about it. For true bodybuilding fans, why, in your opinion, could this not work at a bigger show? Like, why can't we do black backdrops if every single person goes nuts for it? What do you think? Like, you know, in your opinion, could the Arnold and Olympia pull it off with the better athletes or no?
Yeah, I don't see why not. For the audio listeners, Ron is doing the universal sign of rubbing his fingers together, meaning money. I don't see why not, though. I think that, you know what, you give the people what they want. I mean, they wanted that. They wanted the face-off between Bonac and Greggo, which was incredible. You know, they wanted to see Martin. I mean, it's cool to see Samson pull his shirt off and do some guest posing, but it was even cooler to see Martin, pull his pants and shirt off and jump up and hit some poses and see where he's at, because, dude, Martin is looking incredible. And like seeing him next to the off-season relaxed Mr. Olympia, I'm like, oh my God, man, he's looking like he's hanging, you know, obviously 6 weeks out, but so not comparable for real, but man, he looks nuts. Like, I think that people are going to be in trouble at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's going to be
no matter how long I've been in bodybuilding, I still find it like, oh, here's the weird part of the show where non-competitors are going to pull their pants off on stage with no tan on, and we're going to have like an underwear flex off. This is the unmarketable, the public thinks this is a weird event, part of the spectacle. Who are these guys in their jeans just whipping their gear off, you know? And you watch a guy take his pants off when he's like not planning, like he's like got shoes on and socks and he's kind of verifying
pulling his underwear on,
pull his pants off, and you're like, are we doing this right now? But then, you know, the crowd loves it. the crowd like freaks out and everyone goes crazy, and you're like, oh, we all get it, right? It's just some dude taking his pants off. Right. It's a big deal with shoes on.
Yeah,
like
you've never done that.
So it's just like, you've never done this. Like, take your pants off, kick your shoes off to the side, walk out. Yeah, just funny. It just always makes me laugh. Like no tan, it's like the off-season showdown. Like they used to, like they do at Pittsburgh sometimes. They call guys out of the crowd at that Pittsburgh show, and everyone has a good time. But I always just laugh at the non-competitors doing the showdown thing. Even if they're awesome, I always just get a laugh out of it, and I think, oh, this is the part that the public's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But the people that are there love it. Like the first show I ever went to, when they had the overall pose down and it was like pretty much done. Oh God, who was it? I wish I could remember his name. Damn it. Anyways, one of the first monster pros I ever saw, they finished the pose down, and then he walked out and challenged every guy, and then they had a second pose down with the guest poser in it. And it was awesome. Because you're talking about, I mean, he had to have been like 310, dead nuts off season, posed with these guys, but he looked enormous, or that famous Kai Green when he went out with the guy and hit shots with the overall winner. And the guy looked amazing, but then when he was next to Kai, he looked like a child.
Yeah. Dexter did that at a show in Edmonton one year. He came back out with the men's pose down.
I love that. Like
he walked if out, I was in the
show, I would love it.
Yeah, Dexter. Oh yeah, the guys, because they, it's small. These guys, they're losing their mind. They're on stage with Dexter, and he's doing a most muscular beside them, and they're like, oh shit.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to shout out some people, specifically longtime listener of the podcast. He's been listening for like a decade, Dale, and he brought his daughter Ava. They came out to see the show all the way from, I believe, Tennessee. I talked to people that traveled from like North Carolina, Dusty. Like they drove up here, man. You could have gotten a ride with those guys. People from Ohio, people we saw at the Arnold from Ohio. It was cool. It was cool. And I literally, like, I just came in at like 6:30, show starts at 7. And I walked in the door, and then there were listeners. Listeners were just like coming up from everywhere.
That's fantastic.
It was cool. And everybody who came, everybody I talked to said that they had a great time overall. So next year. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep, he went up there, and because he didn't know if Ron was going to need him, so he came up immediately just in case Ron was there in need.
That's funny. Seeing the running into listeners thing is hilarious because we're seeing them everywhere. Yesterday, I went for a bike ride, and I pulled up at the lacrosse box where I ride, and there was a family in there playing lacrosse. Like the dad was throwing sticks around with the kids, and they were passing the ball around, taking shots at the net. And there was, 4 or 5 kids running around and a couple of dads. And I was like, shit, I'll just wait this out. So I kind of just chilled in my truck for 20 minutes. It looked like some of the kids were packing up. So it had that, we've been here a while sort of feel. The mom was sitting down on her phone. So I was like, okay, they're not going to be here long. And I just sat there to wait it out. And eventually they all came out and they're packing up their stuff. And I started walking across carrying my bike.
Yeah.
And the one dad, he looks at me, he's like, oh, I follow you on Instagram.
You're kidding.
And I go, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, I went to high school with your training partner, Braden, and listen to your podcast and everything. He's like, yeah, you got the podcast. Oh, you see your bike. It's cool. Yeah, I've seen you right here. Like, and he's a listener to the show, awesome. Follows the podcast, and just funny stuff like that happens, even around like the little hometown circle I don't leave. I still run into strangers who I've never met and they've never been to my gym, but they listen to the podcast. And it's like, wow, weird.
That's real. It's cool, man. It's cool. It was cool. So next year I'll go again and I'll show up earlier because I want a chance to get to hang out and meet as many of our listeners as we can. Like one guy was like, I think his name was Trey. He's like, you know what? You going to be here? I'm going to go get my friends. And he was like, no, never mind. Let's get a picture right now. And then I'm going to tell them I met you in case we don't see you again. And I didn't see him again. So he was like, then I got to tell my buddies, like, screw you guys. I got to meet Scott. So that was fun.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that, especially going to bodybuilding shows like that.
Dude, it was something you guys would have really enjoyed. I'm certain of that.
We're going to have to twist some arms and go next year.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm flying because it's really far. I don't know how people drive. That is crazy. Insanity. I'm going to go to the North Americans this year because Tommy's doing it.
Oh, nice.
And, damn. Styles.
Someone actually said to me, "Are you going to drive?" And I was like, "No. That's 8 hours. Are you out of your mind? Just get in an airplane, get there quick."
Plus, isn't flying so cheap? Flying is so cheap in the States. It's a joke. It's like free. How much does it cost for you guys to fly? What's an 8-hour flight cost in the States? A couple $100?
$200 and then $750 in baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's only because I have so much baggage I carry around. Oh, wait. Wrong kind of baggage.
They don't charge you for that kind.
I've got my
you pay
whole
for
life
that in
with
many
me.
other ways.
I've got a garbage bag with all my relationships in it. But the thing is with flying in the States, man, like Dusty, I like how that one sat with you for a second, dude.
Dragging it. I'm just glad you said it was a garbage bag. For a minute. That's what it was. That one sat with me. I'll be right back. I'm going to step away from the show for a minute.
but flying in Canada, like it's like $1,000 for me to fly to Toronto. And you guys are like hopping on airplane.
But I bet you I could fly for $400 there.
Because we whenever I book flights, the Canadian flight is like $800, and then my American leg, like there'll be a leg because the Mutant on a Mission trips, I'll be like Toronto $1,000, and then the flight from like Cleveland to Denver is like $190 at like what? How can I add that on for that? Like the price hardly goes up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We will have to go next year as long as someone pays. Perfect.
Dusty, bring your mic in a little bit more. We got to bring it a little closer. Rich, buttery, Dusty. Keep going that way. You didn't move it. You didn't move it at all.
I turned it. See, I turned it.
He's afraid of touching anything. Like with me, I don't want to touch anything.
Yeah,
there we go.
It stops working.
He's just trying to cover my face. I know what he's doing. Well played.
Yeah, like right here.
Smart.
I had. Are we on to another topic here?
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. I've got something that I think we should talk about, and it wasn't planned, but I'm looking at our messages. It's about people who may never know. Maybe we can make something of this. This is a surprise topic for the boys. They didn't know about this.
I love it.
People who do everything they need to do the thing, except they don't do the actual thing.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start a podcast. I'm gonna build a room. I'm gonna get the best microphone, buy a nice brand new laptop, get a mixer and a soundboard. And what software do you use, Scott? And I gotta get a good 4K camera, and I'm gonna have to use this new software on my phone so that I can talk to my guest to organize everything. So I'll download that because we can't just use text messages or Instagram to book people. I have a booking schedule, and I'm going to get an assistant to help me, and then we're going to do this and that. And I guess I need a first episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we've seen this a lot, and I'm not just talking about podcasts. This is like a metaphor for people that don't start because they're afraid they're not ready to start, and then they just never start. And what are your thoughts? Go Dusty. You could go first.
Oh God, I could go for a long time. So
this was based on a conversation we're having. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I don't understand is it's definitely cart before the horse situation. So no matter what it is you're getting into, like if I was going to decide to open up a auto business, and I'm listing this because actually I have a friend that literally did this. He knows his stuff. He starts an auto business. But when he starts out, he's in his garage. No lifts, no nothing.
Yeah.
He's building the business by literally driving up on a couple like lift things and climbing underneath the car to work on it, because his whole idea was, I'm going to get the business up and running, and I'm going to use the profits from the business to then make the business eventually the more professional option.
Yeah.
Now he has on his property, a built garage with 2 lifts, anything can fit inside of there, but he did it all on the profit of the business that he started on his back underneath the cars. Because I don't care when I drop my car off how you fix it.
Right.
If you're underneath of it, it's on a fancy lift, whatever it is, I just want it fixed at a good price. And he didn't want to go into debt. Whereas it's fascinating to me, the amount of people, whether it's this or podcast, they drop, 10 grand to get started and they don't even know if they've got a podcast that's viable. Whereas, why is my backdrop this? Well, because I just do it at the table. I even have a room upstairs that I could easily convert into a podcast room, but I'm like, I can keep an eye on the dogs down here. It's easier. Like, I just don't understand the purpose of all that. And I think what it is you're looking at Joe Rogan and you're saying, that's what I need to do. As if Joe Rogan's podcast room is why he's successful. I don't care where he films.
Yeah.
You remember the beginning?
Like,
if you guys go back and look at it, it's like, that drives me. And it's the same thing with coaching, with any other business. It's like, Nikki said, everyone's afraid to be a beginner. Like, it is okay to start your podcast. Yeah. And just get rolling and build it up. I mean, we didn't even have a place to put it. Remember when we started, Scott? I was like, why didn't we put it on my page for a little while to try to just build some traction? Because I already had a good following on my YouTube.
Yeah.
And then we just slid it over at like episode 11. Like, slide over, we're good to go. There wasn't the only thing that's changed is my backdrop because I've moved a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's okay to do it that way.
I didn't hang the guitars up until like episode 200.
So Scott,
and I didn't have to do it with the podcast.
Scott, with you, like, truthfully, like, what was your start as far as I know how you started doing a podcast, but I mean, what did you do? Like, what made you go, I'm going to do a podcast?
You know what? Well, some people probably heard the story, but it was VJ and I that did it. And honestly, VJ probably pushed us to start sooner than I would have. Because I felt like, we want to have this set up right. Let's not just dive into it. And VJ was like, let's just dive into it. And so we just like, okay, we're doing it. How do we get it done as we went? You know what I mean? And we figured that out. And he figured out how to upload it. And it was a lot harder back then. But we like just pieced it together and it worked. And then we improved it as we went. You know what I mean? So I agree 100%. It's all about the quality of the content. Like, if you have a good message to deliver, and that's the cool thing now is there's an audience for everything now, so be it a podcast or be it you starting a coaching business or anything, like there is so much money to be made out there. Sometimes I look at this kid around here, he has a little trailer that he hooks up to his bicycle and he puts a lawnmower on it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if he charges $25 per lawn, maybe more, 30, we'll say $30 a lawn, and he's doing 5 lawns a day, which doesn't take a lot of time in this neighborhood. Man, that kid could literally be making like legit money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and if you got the hustle, like that's what it comes down to is the hustle. And, I think that's the foundation of it, but that's how we started. We started at bare bones. We were using Skype audio, and then this is how we figured it out. So VJ had his computer on speakerphone, like the sounds come through the speakers, and that sound would come out of his speakers, and then he would record the sound coming out of his speakers, and that was my voice for like the first dozen episodes of Bodybuilding Nerds Radio.
Oh wow!
That reminds me of how you used to record. That's how you used to record things at your house off the radio.
I like the song. You put your tape deck up.
Put the microphone right up to the speaker. Everyone, shh.
Yeah.
Dog barks. That's now part of the song.
Right. You would hear it. Yep. Every time. Yeah. So, but for real, I think that for anybody who wants to do anything, it's like just get started, or a diet. Sometimes I'll tell you what, as a coach, I see a few different kinds of people that I work with. I'm sure you guys see this too. You'll see people that say, okay, here's you give them the diet and they say, let's say it's Wednesday. And they say, okay, we go grocery shopping on Sunday. I'll plan to get this diet started on Monday. And that's cool, And then I've had other people who say like, okay, we go grocery shopping on Sunday. I'm going to do everything I can for right now. I can do it about 90% of the way, and then I'll be on full track by Monday. It's like there's two ways of doing that. Or people who are like, can I start in 2 weeks?
Yeah. I've run into this a lot over my life. There's people who have a real hard time getting going. The planning, they love the planning. They love spending money. They love getting ready to be awesome. And it's fun to open boxes and hook up new shit. And like, in case of a podcast. But I mean, we started, I'm just, mostly the thing that shocks me the most when I look at our old episodes is the size of my head. But outside of that,
it was pretty, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, just super lo-fi and just getting it going. Like I watch a lot of guitar podcasts now, and like guys giving lessons and like, little like cheat lesson stuff. And some of the channels are, they're doing the show from a store because they have a retail store. So they're really capping, they're really maximizing, right? They got their online orders. They got their 2 guys that host the show, and they have a brick and mortar store. So they're just killing it. So they've got like amazing backdrops and a wall of amps, and they're in a guitar store. So they've just got guitars everywhere, and that's their set, And then the next dude is just in his basement. He's got just a wall of cables behind him and like 3 amps in the corner. And he's like hunched over at a computer desk. And it's like episode 5 of our show, and he'll still have the same number of followers and the same views because his content's great.
Yeah.
And he's helpful, and he's good at communicating, and he cuts good videos, and, it's super rough around the edges, but the numbers, I'm looking, this guy's channel's bigger. Right. And it's just, some people don't realize that you can get going and do so much, without.
Do you guys remember when Luke Sandow went to the next level and bought the fake brick backdrop?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Their show. And I always loved that because like that was literally like, I should actually have something. And he just, you'd see like the air conditioning would come on and it would move. I'm like, no one gives a shit what's behind him. And don't get me wrong, like it's cool when if you decide to get there and you slowly crank it up. But I do find it's very backwards. There's actually a guy who's got a spot in our gym, and his podcast room is awesome. And I thought to myself, I'm going to check out his podcast. So I went to his page because he's had the place for a couple of months, and there's no episodes. He has a name, got a thing on the wall of the door. You walk in. It's beautiful. And I was like, maybe I don't know how to find it. So I just looked for the name on YouTube, and there's no podcasts.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird.
Don't be that
Maybe
guy,
you just needed to
people.
Take a loss on your other business, so you spend a bunch of money, or I don't know. It's odd.
Well, but good luck to him. You never know. Yeah. Good luck.
Well, the thing is if his content is awesome, it'll be great, but it won't be better because you started with the room. I think that's the magic that I look at.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say like, I love that someone would actually have the gall to say there's no money in podcasts. I'm like, talk to Rogan about that.
Yeah.
Well, what came through my feed the other day was my first, the episode I did on Fuad's podcast, episode number 5, I think.
Wow.
Right.
And I was his first guest. I think it's episode 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
But look at his show. And the first episode, he's at his kitchen table, I think. I don't know. Like he's not in that room. He doesn't have the logo behind him or nothing. He's just sitting there against a wall like I am. And look at what he did with his show. It's just got to get going. The work matters.
Last episode we talked about coming back from a layoff, and this relates. Not expecting to be what you were before the layoff. Like let go of those expectations and look at what you can do now. And I realized, I talked about this on my Ask Me Anything. I realized that push-ups are a challenge for me. Like if I do 2 chest exercises and then I do 3 sets of as many push-ups as I can, oh my God, they're freaking tough. And I get a good workout out of it. But it took me several years to get to the point where I was humble enough to say push-ups are going to be a good exercise for me. So it's like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you start with what you can do and go from there, no matter what the topic is, being a podcast, being your physique, being a business, you know, just like, hey, what's going to help you today? What can you do now? You know, and that's where I'm at with exercise. And it feels great to kind of be at that place where I'm like, yeah, I love this. This is fun. I'm not like, oh man, I'm so embarrassed. Maybe the first day I did push-ups, because honestly, my core was shaking the first day. And I was like, oh God, okay, I'm really glad I'm not in a public gym right now for people to see.
No one's watching this.
But now, fast forward a few weeks later, I'll do push-ups at the gym in front of you. I don't care. I tell you, yeah, I'm training chest right now. You got a problem with that?
I won the Michigan before. Anyways.
No, I actually didn't, but I almost did.
Should have done the push-ups then. You would have.
I know, right?
Oh, man.
We had a bunch of questions from your stream, Dusty, last week, I think.
Yes.
And we had...
I'm looking at it right now.
We had some questions, too, from the podcast last week. Dusty, you used to eat a lot of Splenda. Like a lot of Splenda. And somebody was asking, do you still use as much Splenda as you did in your older videos?
Yes.
Yeah?
I travel with Splenda. Because I cannot count on people to not have Truvia or some healthy nonsense I don't want. It tastes wrong.
Yeah.
I get annoyed because Emily will put up a post of like a recipe or something, and then she's like, and then we get the stevia, and I'm like, did you want to add sour bullshit to your stuff? Just go with this. It's better. Better for you? Not so much, but it's delicious. So yeah, no, I do a ton of Splenda still. I buy 1,000 packages at a time from Costco.
Okay.
And when you get down to about 500, you buy another 1,000 just in case you have a wild weekend. You
That's
never
nice.
know.
When your gas tank is half empty, is that when you fill it too?
Oh yeah, every now and then you get a little crazy, but like I go right over and fill back up. Yeah. It's no I think it's back from the day. You're getting roasted right now. It's same like the sauces that I like, Scott.
Yeah.
I have rows of them.
Oh yeah.
So if there was like ever a shortage on low sugar ketchup, I'm fine. I'm 5 deep right now, and if I get rid of 2, I'll buy more. Yeah. We don't go low. Never. But definitely on Splenda.
I was kind of segueing to get into those like deeper life, philosophy questions about the gas tank, and you know what I'm saying, Ron? You saw where I was going with that? I was trying to like Rogan it. I was Roganing it.
I have to tell you guys just a quick little thing. I have a very small circle of life, right? I live five minutes from the gym.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm 5 minutes from home, and then Safeway's across the street. Like I don't have to go far, which is the way I love it. And I got my truck, my SUV. I've got the digital thing set to how many kilometers till empty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's how I gauge when it's time to fill up. And I went all the way to 3 the other day.
Yeah.
3.
Oh God.
He thought about going because he was like, I could go to the gym one more time.
I think 30 kilometers or 3 kilometers, that's like 30 football fields. So I'm like, I'm like, make it back. Could I make it to the gym one more time? Should I stop and get gas? Yeah. I figured I should probably gas up. I got to 3. But I felt like Kramer in that one episode where he's trying to get to go right to halfway and then turn around and go home. But he's like, I'm going to push it,
Yeah.
Going for it.
Go for it, Jerry. I knew that would give Dusty. I thought it would give him like a headache.
Delivery.
Damn.
I had a question.
Dusty sounds like he has 10 dogs.
I had a question for you guys, and I had 2. One of them, I'm going to wait to get some more people on our poll on Instagram, which is, can you wear sweats to a night show? But another question is, how would you handle if you only had 40 minutes to get your workout in? Like, and I'm talking per day, that's it, 40 minutes per day. How would you set that up? You can go, we'll say 4 to 5 days a week, but you only have 40 minutes. That's it.
I would do fewer exercises per body part so that you don't have to warm up as much. Because, every time you switch exercises, you kind of got to re-prep, like get your groove, do a couple sets, get ready for it, I would, get on the hack, say it's leg day and you only got 40 minutes. Maybe you do 3 or 4 working sets on the hack. Because by the time you're done 4 working sets on the hack, that's like equivalent to doing like 6 working sets of, if you do 2 each for 3 exercises. Do you know what I mean? Just the time of taking a new machine.
Take it all off, got a new machine.
Yeah. So I would reduce the number. Like if it's quad day, maybe you just do hacks. You hack yourself to death for 4 hard, brutal sets, and then do some extensions, and that's quads.
Yep.
And the next time you come in for quads, you pick a different movement. Maybe you do hip flexion 1 that time, so you do leg press 4 brutal sets, and then you do a different finisher, two quad movements. Boom. Like keep it real simple and use big bang for your buck exercises. Like you're not doing single arm, pec flies at the end. You just ditch that stuff. I mean, you got to get your bread and butter, nuts and bolts, big time amount of work done in 40 minutes. So it's the hack squats, it's the dumbbell rows, it's heavy pressing, it's getting in there and ripping it up on big exercises. Yeah, that's what I do. Dorian split, boom.
I do the same. In fact, right now, I also like to think of the movements that prime me for the heavier stuff. So like on chest, I start with the fly movement every time. Because then when I get to my press, I'll put 135 on the bar and do 6, 225 on the bar, do 4, 315 on the bar, do 2. Now I'm ready. And those ones are like 135, I stand up, I put a plate on, I put another plate on, we're at 225, I lay back down, I go. Because I'm just kind of getting the movement going and making it quick. And then like Ron said, I just had this conversation on Saturday with someone, for example, like biceps. I hope that most of you realize that you do 3 different machines to entertain yourself. Like it's the same thing.
It's fun.
Like, your hand is your bicep curls the same way. Like you could do a hammer movement and a regular palm up curling movement and call it a day. I like supersetting bis and tris because I'm essentially resting my bicep during the tricep time.
I like that
too.
So
it's quick. Like an arm workout for me is like 25 minutes.
Okay.
Super. Yeah, it's fast, And then just like Ron said, the only thing I would do is I would definitely split quads and hams so they have their time. And I would do my curling movement first. And then obviously my RDL kind of movement is going to take the longest. And if there's time left, I throw in one more thing and be out the door. I think people highly overestimate how much time they need to have a great workout. Because you got to remember too, most of the listeners aren't trying to become 285-pound freaks. Like you can get a lot done in 40 minutes if you walk in and crank. Plus, when you've done your first movement, like when I do a hack movement and I want to go over to a leg press, I don't need as long. The leg is warmed up. I'm just kind of getting used to the movement real quick. And then we're right into heavy sets. You don't need to warm your chest up from scratch on all 3 movements or whatever you're going to do. It's warm. You're safe. You're good to go. So, yeah, pretty simple. I think you could 40 minutes. You could do almost everything you need.
Yeah, we just got to be on the ball. Move quick.
I like that. All right, so that
it helps if you're completely injury free.
Yeah,
you need that extra 30 minutes to warm up.
Now it takes me 30 minutes to just get moving.
I'm in the car with the gun and everything. Yeah.
My part 2, which is not a part 2, is just another question. This is a topic that came up in the McNally Felker household this weekend.
And then in my household.
Yeah, and then and I had to ask the guys on text.
It bled.
Can you wear sweats to the night show? And here's the deal. Victoria asked me, she's like, what are you going to wear? I was like, I was thinking of wearing that, that one button down shirt. She said, okay, I'll wash it, which is very nice of her, And then I thought, well, if I wear that button down, why don't I wear a Mutant t-shirt instead? And I was like, if I wear this Mutant t-shirt, normally I would wear sweats with it. I was like, represent Mutant. but then I'm wearing sweats. And then I said to her, I was like, hey, I think I'm just going to wear sweats. She kind of looked at me sideways. She was like, you don't wear sweats.
The head tilt.
And I never do, but
I hate it when you do that.
There was a minute though that I almost was going to wear sweats to the night show. And I changed that. Put on a shirt and some jeans, but I asked our listeners too, and our results so far. Of course, it's just bodybuilding, bro. That got 40% or 41% of the votes. All right. And then I kind of threw a curveball in here because I also have, yes, if you're over 300 pounds jacked, that got 30% of the votes. And then no way, show some more respect for yourself got 29% of the votes. So our audience,
society in decline,
is wearing
That's
sweats.
Exactly what it is.
And probably carrying a water jug in their cooler into the night show.
Wearing hospital pants and Crocs, going to the night show.
Yeah,
just fucking giving up,
just covered in sweat from the gym.
Tank top with spaghetti stain on it.
You literally just said what I say all the time when I'm out in public. I say,
giving up.
What point
they just give
all
up.
of these men give up?
Yeah,
because that's how I look at those things. It's like, why would you not? And especially like, for us, for you, Scott, like to me, you're not just a guy going to a show. You're Scott McNally representing your podcast, everything you do.
Scott McNally.
You're the Scott McNally.
Do you know who I am?
Plus, I think, and even on the bodybuilding side, like you said, and I love the option for the 280 pound plus situation.
Yeah, 300 pound plus. Yeah,
if you're Kai Green, you wear what you want.
But here's the funny thing: if you're Kai Green, you're still Kai Green in a button-up shirt. You can't hide that.
No,
you know what I mean. I feel like it's the opposite end of the spectrum. If you're 135 pounds and lean, you're like, well, I better make sure I'm in a tank top so people can see I got a little muscle. Whereas if you're big, you're like, I can wear whatever I want. It's going to be very obvious I have a ton of muscle. But I get dressed. I always just look at it as okay, let's say I vote it's fine. Well, if Nikki came down the stairs to go to the show in sweats, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't. You got to get dressed. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then I guess I got to get dressed too.
Yeah.
There you go. See, oh man, that's funny. It throws back to the old days where the rule used to be prejudging, you'd be as meathead as you could. Like you'd literally wear a bandana to prejudging.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I remember going to prejudging wearing bandanas.
Oh my God.
That's totally fine.
We need pictures of that.
I agree.
Fanny packs and boat neck shirts and MC Hammer pants, and then you go straight from the morning show to train because you're totally dressed to train. So you just go train.
Oh yeah.
And then you come back at the night show with your jeans on and your tight t-shirt and maybe back in the gold chain. You got your gold chain on back in the days. You had a big gold chain or whatever you're wearing. And you come back and that one is for show. You're coming back to
you're dressed.
Yeah, maybe meet some girls at the night show. You know how it is when you're a young bodybuilder, Yeah,
I think that's probably why too, Scott or Ron, is because that's exactly how it was. Like everyone knew you got dressed to come back at night.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
what are you wearing, bro?
That slinky tee. Remember those?
Oh God, I wore some tight t-shirts.
On. That's
like, I must have looked like a sausage. Yeah.
Do you guys remember the Crazy Wear? Remember that company?
Oh yeah.
I remember when Dave Palumbo was sponsored by them, and like everybody on the show was wearing all these super tight, short sleeve button down shirts of crazy patterns, just like stretched around their biceps.
So
Scott, I remember the Crazy Wear.
I got to tie this in because it's funny. So the stores that I bought years ago, the owner of the original owner of those stores, the guy that started it, he carried those clothes. He started out with like driving those clothes places like to shows and selling them.
Yeah.
And then he got a $3,000 bonus because he worked at the power plant. And he took that money and bought supplements and then went to the Swap Mart and was selling supplements there.
Oh, wow.
And then eventually he got enough. And then every time he would sell, he'd just buy more and kind of slowly cut an amount of money. Then he went in halves with a guy on a 1,100 square foot space in like a shopping center, and they hung down the middle of it sheets. So one side was the supplement store, the other side was this guy's art gallery.
Wow.
And then he got his own store, and then another store, and then another store, and then I think he sold his stores for like $500,000 when he first sold to the guy that I bought him from. And that's another prime example of he didn't start at the top.
Yeah.
He started with a $3,000 bonus to the swap mart, and then sold his business for $500,000 a few years later. And there was nothing wrong with that, but he did wear crazy wear still to the night show.
Good man.
Never ending. The marketing never ends, Dusty. The marketing.
When I bought those stores, there were still like baggies. I'm like, what am I gonna? I tried to take them to Goodwill. They were like, don't even try it. Get these out of here.
Oh, those are worth something now.
You're not dropping those off here, buddy.
Those would be hot now.
Oh, that's all coming back.
Okay. What else was on that? You had 54 questions on that. That was good.
Yeah, they went well. Try to see.
I love your new mouse pad, by the way.
You like that, right? I'm gonna show those who don't watch. Look at this mouse pad I got. It's key because this part down here is for your wrist because it's actually lifted.
There you go. That's so funny.
For safety of my wrist when I'm working. Plus, it's like getting a cheap grab all day long. Kind of fun.
Well, you don't want to have to get carpal tunnel surgery.
Do it for safety is the only reason.
Yes.
By the way, Scott, I did have a lot of people tag me going to the restaurants that you suggested.
Oh, nice. So I didn't mention this to Fuad. I spoke to him, and they said they were going out to eat, and he mentioned he was going to one of the restaurants, and I think he thought it was like his little secret, like nobody is going to know about this place. It's the other side of town. And he mentioned one of the restaurants that I was telling everybody to go to. So I didn't tell him that.
I was late to the night show.
It was after everything,
funny.
After everything. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if some of our listeners got a special additional treat when they went out to eat.
That's funny. I already ratted out your secret spot.
Right?
I got a good one here that someone asked. Said, since it's contest season, tell us each of your most drastic peak week experiences and were they the most successful? They also added a ring the bell, which was nice.
Most drastic peak week. The most drastic peak week I ever did would have been just for what I actually did would have been the 99 Albertas. And back when we were doing super old school stuff, because we used to change so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we changed our water and we changed all of our foods, and just the volume of food would just do the craziest things. And, you pull your sodium out. So then you got to eat so much to get enough naturally occurring sodium to fill out. So you're like, oh my God, I'm loading on, 120 ounces of potato a day, but it's just because, your body has no sodium coming in, so you can't store anything. So you got to eat and eat and eat. And it's actually the sodium from the meat coming in that is doing anything. And, you're eating. I just remember eating, looking back on it, that's what was happening. We didn't realize what was happening. We had no sodium. So we're eating giant meals, 20 ounces of potato with 10 ounces of steak, and then not getting full. So then we're eating it again, and we're eating it again, and we're having a fourth one. And now we're bloated and we're burping and we're still not getting full, and we're guzzling water. And we used to go through this, and you had to eat a shit ton of food for anything to actually happen. So it was so challenging. Mm-hmm. And I remember I won that show. I don't know how I looked so good because I literally did everything that we wouldn't do now.
Right.
But I just remember I looked incredible, and I farted every minute for 48 hours.
Every step of your posing routine?
Every minute for 48 hours because I was eating so many potatoes. My coach had me eating 20 ounces of potato 5 times, 6 times a day, like just, and just packing in so much food. And of course, your gut is just going through this madness because it's got electrolytes have been restricted and water's up, which is actually the worst situation. You got all this water and no electrolytes. So now you're like diluting everything. And and the only reason you're not flat is because you're eating like 5,000 calories worth of steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
And just doing everything wrong, not understanding what we were doing that was wrong, thinking that this was how you had to do it, and just the body going through crazy turmoil. And I remember winning that show and thinking, oh, this is how you win shows. And I never saw that formula work again.
Because there was no formula. That was called throw enough shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, like literally if you reduce the food so that you don't have all the digestive distress, now you've got like an electrolyte. Your electrolytes are way too low because the only electrolytes you're getting are from your steak.
Yeah.
So now you don't, like, it's even worse. So it's like, just a crazy situation. And I remember my coach told me to drink a can, like frozen juice mix.
Mm-hmm. The concentrate.
He's like, just thaw a can out and drink the whole can.
Wow.
Because that's like so many carbs. It'll hit you hard. I did that. And I was backstage waiting to go out. And I remember getting like blood sugar, like, whoa. And my gut was just, I was so sick. But I looked great. And I went on stage, won the show. Everyone was like, oh my God, you nailed it. That was unbelievable. And I was like, this is crazy. I don't know how I look good.
So Scott, I sent you a picture on your text to throw in with this. But I've shared this before, but in 2010, I did the Junior Nationals, and Chris and I, we won that. And then we went to the USAs. And the USAs, they used to weigh in on Thursday. And prejudging was Friday. Finals was Saturday. And at weigh-ins, I was still eating and drinking 100%, through the roof. So, and they used to take pictures at weigh-ins. And I got a picture taken of me at weigh-ins. And I mean, I'm still paste white, stomach distended, just look like hell. And immediately, because this was like the message board days, it went everywhere that I didn't hold my conditioning for the show. So Dusty I was kind of like, don't worry about Dusty. He came in fat. And I knew Chris had it. So I came back and I wasn't doing anything crazy, but he had me drinking a ton of water, like 3 gallons every day, just tons by the end. And then that night, about midday that day, he's like, all right, pull the water back. So we pulled it back. And then I took a half a diazide when I got back from weigh-ins. Mm-hmm. I took another half that night and went to bed. And I was up all night pissing. All night. So it got to the point, Scott, that I, on like my 6th trip to the bathroom, it was one of those hotel rooms where it was like a hallway bathroom. Mm-hmm. So finally, at like my 6th time, I just was like, I gotta know. So I flipped the light on and turned and just hit like a class most muscular. And I went, oh shit, okay. Turn the light off, went to bed. And I woke up the next morning, and the picture I just sent you was the pic that we took that morning. And I immediately forwarded that to Dante, and I said, put this on the internet and tell him I brought the condition just fine. I dropped 17 pounds that night.
Love that shot, man. That is one of my favorite pictures I've seen of you.
He had me so blown out full that as soon as he pulled the water out, it just like saran wrapped everything. Yeah. And I was like, we're going to be fine. But it wasn't the drastic part was that we didn't change anything. And then just real quick pulled out at the end, and it was good to go. And that we did that every time. It always worked.
That's so cool. My story was similar to Ron, being like old school, and it was my coach for my first show. It was my first show, was probably the most dramatic, and he had me switch to distilled water first of all.
Oh, I remember that.
The entire week.
I remember that.
So I was drinking around a gallon.
How bad it tastes.
Yeah, I was drinking like around a gallon, and he gave me basically a protocol, And I had to go to the grocery store, and I'm buying like all the distilled water they have. I'm just like putting all these gallon jugs, and my chicken and additional rice and all this. And I don't really remember the food super well at this point, but I do remember that water. And he had me drink 3 gallons on Sunday, 3 gallons on Monday, and then we started tapering it down so that by like Thursday it was pretty low, and then Friday was like a half a gallon and cut it off at 3 or noon or 6. I can't remember what it was. And then once we cut it off, we started with the Diazide. And I was like, all right, take a half a tab and then send me pictures in 3 hours. I was like, okay, take another half a tab and send me pictures in 3 hours. I think I took 3 or 4 half a tab. I think it was 4 half tabs that day, starting at like 3 p.m., then 6, 9. Yeah, and then he was like, all right, I need you to stay up tonight. We're going to take another half tab at 12. And I took that at 12, and he's like, all right, go to bed, wake up in the morning and send pictures, and then take another half tab, after he tells me to. And that's what I did. And it was brutal, man. I felt terrible. Like, I felt really bad for that show. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel good on stage. I didn't feel good trying to pump up. I didn't feel good for like a week and a half, put it that way. But I did look better. So there's that. I don't know how, but I looked all right.
I think that's the problem is with our early shows, when you did weird stuff and it worked, you're like, so I guess you just have to hate prep. You have to hate the way you feel. And if you feel good, you're terrible. And you're like, no, that's not really how it works.
Yeah, you got to feel terrible. That's how you know that you're doing well. That was in my head back then.
I sent Scott a picture just now. You pull up on the text.
Oh, yeah.
So this was 2000. That was 2006, and I weigh like 253. And that was like, I think, Friday night in the room, after, all tanned up and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember that show, I worked with Scott Abel, and he was like, you could be a lot fuller. He goes, why don't you go to the Keg? There's like a steakhouse here.
Yeah.
And there was one right across the street. He's like, go to the Keg, have a 20-ounce prime rib, eat all the fat, have double order of fries, and get 2 pieces of cheesecake, and then take a full tab of Diazide and go to bed. So I did that.
Wow.
And then the next day, I remember Fuad beat me that day by 1. He beat me by 1 and got the pro card. And I was like, fuck. It was a close call. And he looked amazing. He was, young bodybuilder. And I remember I was like bummed. I was like, damn, got second. And then I had multiple people come up to me and they're like, you are clearly the thirstiest guy in this show. And I was like, oh, really? And they're like, you look like you're the most thirsty guy. Like you're dry, super, super dry. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And it was that massive, ridiculous fat load meal with all that salt and a Diazide and no water at all. Because like it was hard cut.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't drank any water for hours when he sent me to eat that food. And I was like,
that'd be brutal.
Already.
I would have hated that entire meal.
I was already like 6 hours into not drinking a single drop, and he's like, go eat that meal. And I had this giant meal, but your mouth is watering because it's so good.
Yeah.
But I ate that whole meal without drinking anything. Like you crazy.
You have to share one more story, Ron, because it's still my favorite. The Aceto bear claw.
Oh yeah. 2010 in North Americans. And I had a really terrible flight down there. My flight guy was like a storm. It was, going to the North Americans in October is always a pain in the ass for people. It was a little bit later in the year. It was snowing. Flights canceled all over. I wind up doing this ridiculous dance where I fly from Toronto to Raleigh to back to Chicago and then to friggin' Cleveland, which is where the show was. So I'm my whole travel day is just a complete disaster. I get in, Chris comes and looks at me. He's like, I brought my scale. I was like 10 pounds light. He's like, oh, okay. So he had me eat a bunch of food, and he comes back the next morning and he watches me pose, and he's pretty quiet. And then he goes, I'm going to come back in a couple hours. Just relax. And he comes back, and I open the door, and he's standing there holding a brown paper bag. And he goes, eat one of these. And he hands me a bag, and I open it, and it's got these ridiculous giant, like brown sugar, cinnamon fritter, apple fritter things. Like they're massive.
Yeah.
And he goes, I was thinking you were flat when I left this morning. And then I was standing at the crosswalk and I saw George Farah come out of this bakery and I thought, that must be where the fullness is. So I went in and I got you a couple of these. And I'm just like, can you tell a normal story? Can you just buy baked goods? You don't have to add the George Farah part. Like you just had to add some to everything. I saw George Farah come out of this bakery, so I thought that must be where all the fullness is. And he had a bag with him, so I thought, oh, that's the goods. So he tells me to eat one. So I eat one, and we sit and chat for a while. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, "You're covered in veins. Eat another one." So I ate another one. And he's like, "You're flatter than I thought." He goes, "Drink some water. Have a nap, eat a third one. I'll be back at whatever time," he told me.
Yeah.
Comes back again. He's like, just crazy. And then because the prejudging was at like noon, right? Because it was the 1 day or the 2 day format back then. So prejudging was at like noon. So he comes back at like 11:30 and he's like, there you go. Okay, good, But just Chris's little just here's a bag of donuts, just the way he presented it. Of course, I just did what he told me. And that was one of my best looks ever. Like one of my very best looks ever was coming back from being too flat, which is actually kind of common. Often when guys come back from being too flat, they have a crazy look because it's like the water doesn't do anything yet. It's like, you know what I mean? There's that little window between being flat and filling back up and you're just crazy. Yeah. And I sort of had like a great look that day. So I was really happy. Yeah.
I feel like I always want people to wake up a little flat. You know what I mean? You want to be able to still put something into them.
It's better than not being red. It's better than not being crisp enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can always fill the cup up, but
Yeah. Emptying it back down while staying full is a much harder maneuver to pull off.
George Farah. I saw George Farah come out of this bakery and I figured,
he was in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay, good. Good to see him.
I think he had his nephew. I think it was a nephew, was it, that competed? Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Him and Chris both got him and Chris both got family competing. Chris got his son doing those shows. And,
I randomly kind of heard that, but I wasn't sure. So don't quote me on that. Somebody in the comments tell us in the comments.
Already been quoted.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments clear that up for us.
It's okay. The internet already believes it.
What about this one from YouTube? And by the way, guys, once again, we always need questions. So comment on YouTube with your questions, plus comments and likes, all that stuff. It really does help to boost the show up so other people will see it. Do you guys ever regret not enjoying the foods that you love? Or regret enjoying them more?
Do I ever regret not enjoying them more?
Yeah. You spent years as a competitor maybe not eating Chick-fil-A.
No, because if I would have just recklessly eaten more of the foods I love, I'd just die of a heart attack sooner.
Yeah.
If anything, bodybuilding now, like all the learning and everything I did, I'm glad I didn't, I'm a lot more conscious of it now from a health point of view. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to eat something, I think, okay, well, how many times a month have I eaten this? I can't help it. But I don't regret not eating more shit. I ate plenty of high calorie food as a bodybuilder, so I didn't miss out on too much.
I actually would say it's the opposite. And the reason is, and I find this even now, if I go on a tear where because I'm retired, like if I'm just going to grab a meal here or there, not bad, but just whatever I want, then I'm just eating. So like if I stop in and get a teriyaki bowl somewhere because I need to eat, I'm just eating. It just, okay, I'm full now and I leave. Whereas if I'm in a position now where I'm doing 1 or 2 meals a week, then I enjoy them because I'm aware, like, okay, I'm not going to have anything in for another week. And I definitely notice that I will enjoy the meal more. Also, I'm a lot more selective. Like I'm not wasting that meal on Burger King. Not happening.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not taking a chance on some new spot.
Exactly. That's the worst when you do that. And it does change things, and it makes everything, like, it's also I don't think people realize if you would even as an experienced competitor, if you would eliminate the amount of just junk you consume just because you want to, now you're talking health, you will look better.
Yeah.
And then when you eat, you'll enjoy the food you have, and you'll also, it's not a be all end all. You eat it, you enjoy it, and then you're like, cool, I'm ready to get back tomorrow. I find that the guys who, I mean, when I first got into bodybuilding, I was so dumb. And it was just like, it was the same as my training. The eating was want to get as heavy as possible as soon as possible. I started every day at McDonald's. I ate fast food twice a day minimum all the time. And first off, I wasn't enjoying the food because who gives a shit? I'm having it every day.
Right.
And two, I'm way fatter than I need to be. And this was before really getting into any additional supplements. And I bet you my blood work was worse then than it was at my peak of bodybuilding using gear. So no, I don't at all. I think that people don't realize that food is not, just like anything, it's not enjoyed as much if you have it all the time.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. 100%. 110%.
That's why Ronald eats bad when he's with me.
Yeah. I had a really good cheat meal. That burger I told you guys about from Miller's.
Yeah.
I ordered they had like a mixed basket of onion rings and fries. So I got that, and I got the burger. It was like a half-pound burger, and I was like, you know what? Let me get 2 of them. I figured that if it was small, I'd want 2, and if it was big, then Luke might want another burger. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, we'll get 2. He didn't want it. It was pretty filling, and I ended up eating like 2 2/3. I couldn't finish that second burger, and then I went home and ate a sleeve of double stuffed Oreo cookies, and oh my God, I was so thirsty. I'm just like pounding water.
Sleeve.
It was like 10, like 10 of them. Yeah, no, that was the plan. I was like, I got like,
sleeve is.
Yeah, I ate a sleeve. That was the plan, man.
Sleeve.
Yeah,
he has 3 weeks worth in his pantry right now.
Sleeve.
Yeah, because it wasn't. You gotta understand, Ron. The bun and the fries they had the fats for me, but they didn't have the carbs.
Well, plus you ordered a mixture of onion rings and fries, so you can only eat the fries and left the onion rings on the plate. Wasted food, of course. So that's a weird choice. I don't know why you choose to waste
lower the fries.
You intentionally waste half his food. I don't get it.
I was like by 9-10 p.m. I'm like, oh, it's getting hot in here. Oh, Jesus, like I'm sweating.
You're gonna die. You had onions and Oreos together.
Is that a toxic combination?
It's like, that's like a weird sort of like weird, I
didn't eat them directly at the same time.
You weren't like onion, Oreo.
It wasn't a superset.
Yeah, it wasn't a superset. Okay. It was like I had them,
opening the Oreo and putting the onion ring in and putting it.
So that night, oh my God, I sweat like old school bodybuilding sweat, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I had to wake up.
Like first trend cycle.
Oh, I had to wake up and go into the cupboard and get a towel and lay it over my area of the bed and then flip the pillow over. Like it was bad.
His pillow was wet.
Bad. And then the next morning,
change a pillow. Yeah.
The next morning, I just like pulled everything back and I was like, Victoria, no, we don't want to make this bed. We gotta air out from
scratch.
Yeah.
Man, I forgot. I missed that. I've had that happen. Like I remember. I don't know how long ago it was. It was recent enough, but I ate like a whole pizza one night. Yeah. And normally when I order a pizza, I eat half the pizza and I put the other half in the fridge.
Okay.
But one night, I just ate the whole thing, just like the whole extra large pizza.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, I really went for it. That was a big meal. And I remember that night I had like a metabolic event. I remember I was like up at 3 a.m. and I was like, oh my God, this is like the old days.
Yeah.
The bed was soaked. I couldn't even, I put a towel down, laid back down, woke up again, towel was soaked, went and laid on the couch. I remember like, it's been a long time, but that used to happen. Like that used to be kind of like normal on a big night when you really eat like crazy.
Yeah. No, it was every week and every night in going into the show, like that last. So I get on the scale the next morning and I was like 0.2 pounds up. It was like,
yeah, of course.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were down like 4 pounds.
I was pretty close, but I made sure I pounded the water because I wanted to make sure that I, had a good pump the next day, and then training was good. It was good.
That's
but
wild.
Yeah.
I was going to say we went out this week because we do a cheat meal a week, and we went out with friends, and I realized something after dinner. I was like, and they're close friends, love them, want them around. I don't focus enough on my food and enjoy it because I'm in this big conversation. I told Nikki, I'm like, listen, we meet friends for cigars moving forward. That was a real waste. I didn't focus. I didn't take it in. I was just eating and chatting, not paying attention to the fact.
It's supposed to be just you, your food, and Nikki's boobs.
Well, they're the backdrop. I was when I posted a picture of my nachos that day, I almost made a reference, but I realized most of my people wouldn't get it because I was going to say the backdrop is important, just like the Detroit Pro.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very key part, but I was like,
it is very important. It is very important.
I hate when I waste a good joke and people don't get it. So I was like, never mind.
It happens to be. See, that's my problem is I say it and then no one laughs and then I drive away feeling misunderstood. Yeah.
I would have you on all the jokes. Don't worry.
Yes, I know.
I was trying to figure out.
That's why we travel well together. Man, that was flashbacks.
Oh,
sweat in the bed thing. That was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There were times where you're like, this
I remember. Yeah. And then there's that little bit of pride you have when your woman is like, what the fuck?
I had one of those nights. That was that night.
Like when they're like, what is wrong with you? Like they're looking at this giant wet spot that goes from your head to the back of your knee. And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you're like, oh, I just was hot. And they're just like,
Maddie, our dog, she'll like come up to cuddle me, and she's just like soaked. She's like a wet dog.
I had that same experience.
Half of her. You know?
I had that same experience, Scott, at the Arnold Classic, sitting next to Ron at the night show.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there minding my business, and what does Ron say? He goes, this is awful sitting next to you. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I could feel the heat coming off of your body.
I had a sunburn on my arm. I had like a red, like when I got back to my room that night, I took my shirt off and like my tricep and shoulder were just kind of red. Like they just had this redness to them that lasted like a few hours. Like they got super hot and flushed with blood.
It was like
and
a
like I would
burn.
lean away. I would lean away, and then I would lean back into my normal seat, and I would just feel the heat.
It was like a steam.
That used to be me.
Yeah, steam burn.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck. I remember people being annoyed by me and me just laughing about it. But then I was like that person.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
That was your one of your clients was at the Arnold from North Coast Gym.
Oh, yeah, Ash.
Yeah, Ash. So I meet him, and he's like, "Oh, can we get a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man." I put my arm around him. I'm like, "Whoa!" The dude was like 200 degrees.
Yeah, I got him on the DNP, right?
Yeah, you would think. You know,
just
you would think.
Tons of it. Just melting him. Yeah, they'd be all right. I'm just kidding about the DNP. Just kidding. Alert.
Hey, chest training tips to work around a banged up shoulder.
Find whatever doesn't hurt and use those exercises. Just train around the pain. Don't try to go through it. Just train around the pain. If you can do pec decks and hammer machine presses, then that's guess what we're doing for chest.
Yeah.
We're doing pec deck and hammer machine. Just figure out something that doesn't if you can't do inclines anymore, but you can still do flats, then use the flat machines and don't worry about the stuff you can't do. Just figure it out. You know, do some of those upper cable flies or something if you can't do any incline work, or figure it out. But there's enough machines out there. You should be able to find one that doesn't hurt your shoulder. Hopefully.
I have an easy one, so only one of us has to answer it. But how do you get shredded glutes? Which variables of food, cardio, drugs worked the best in the past?
All it is low body fat. And I mean, you have to have muscle. So do you have muscle in your glutes? Well, yes, everyone does, which means you have striated glutes, because everyone has striated glutes if they get lean enough, because it's a striated muscle. So you have the glutes, you have the muscle, and you have the striations. How good they are depends on, what are you squatting? What are you deadlifting? What do you all that stuff, putting on the mass. But as far as just getting them to show, it's just getting your body fat down. Most of the time, if the glutes don't come in, you just needed another month. You just needed another 3 weeks. You underestimated how long it would take you to get lean, or maybe you had some stuff happen during prep. Like people have all sorts of shit happen. They get sick. You lost a couple weeks of time, and now you're just behind a little. It's just getting lean. If you haven't seen him before, and you're trying to push to get to that level, sometimes it can be a little scary, because sometimes you may have to sacrifice everything else for a minute, and everything else is going to kind of, especially in the early days. Yeah, everything else might flatten out in the process, but it's a balance of letting all of that go to get them in, and then bringing it all back, because you're not losing muscle. I mean, if you're doing it right, you should be able to then bring it back. But there is that balance, and if you don't have the tissue, there's also I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Like the concession you have to make, where it's like maybe they're not going to be completely peeled, and I don't want to give up everything else in order to try to get them to be.
Yeah, you nailed that. I think that's the key. Is the only way you're going to know is to do it. But you should look and pay attention as you look at your pictures, when you look back and say, okay, at this point in my career, with the amount of tissue I have, did my entire physique get better because I brought the glutes in, or did I sacrifice too much to have them? Because I will say that in the world of bodybuilding we're in now, like, shredded glutes aren't an option anymore.
Yeah.
If you want to win, you have to have them. So, I mean, I've joked with clients before that they could just send me their rear double bicep, and until the glutes are in, we're not done. That's how I look at that's how I look at your whole body, though, too. It's like, wherever you hold your fat, until that is wrung out, we're not done.
Yeah.
Just keep going. And I think that's why, if you go back, and I know Ron and Scott probably have the same, like, we used to do 12-week diets. That was very normal, 10, 12 weeks. And now I have almost every client start at 20. I want the extra window. I want to be prepared for that 2 weeks of getting sick or whatever goes on, because I want to make sure you're ready. And I also don't want to slam you down and lose muscle along the way. So slow and control, bring the diet down, and make sure at 8 weeks out, 6 weeks out, you should be starting to see flickers 6 weeks out from the show. Then they're going to be dried out nasty come showtime. But if you're looking at 2 weeks out going, they're not in, well, they're not going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I want you to be ready at least like a few weeks out with that kind of that bigger time frame. That way you can have that time to bring everything else back and fill it back out.
Yep, 100%. Scanning to see if we have any more we want to hit. We did that one.
Any kind of big, dramatic show closer?
Well, I did have something I'm looking for here, but just give me a sec. You do your thing.
We are doing our thing, Ron.
We're all doing it right now. We do it live, but not live, pretty much.
Okay, I'm going to send you a picture to put up.
All right.
Send you a couple pictures to put up. Okay, I'm going to send you a couple of pictures to put up just for a quick little shout out I want to do.
All right.
Love it.
Here, I sent you 2 photos.
All right. Sometimes my computer takes a minute, so I'll put them up as I get them.
Yeah. So I want to send a shout out just to a buddy of mine. He's a friend of mine. He's been a client of mine for years. I really try to help him as much as I can. We've done lots of shows together, and he's kicked a lot of ass and taken second at the pro qualifiers a few times, and been close run. He won a couple classes, no card yet. But Jack Craddock, I wanted to throw a photo up of Jack Craddock. This is from the Van Pro qualifier last year. He got second in the classic, and then I got a back double bicep for him. He's a young kid, early 20s, mid 20s now, but yeah, there he is. So see the back double, his glutes are in.
Oh yeah,
looks good. He was very good. He was very, very tight and dry that show. But anyways, I want to send a shout out to Jack. He trains at my gym. He listens to the podcast. He's a real hardcore bodybuilder. He's not quite sure what happened, but he tore his hip flexor quite badly.
Oh.
Leg pressing the other day at the gym a couple weeks ago. He's waiting for surgery. They've had MRIs, and he's got a call with the surgeon, I believe today. He's supposed to talk to somebody. Not sure. I don't think anything is detached, but I think he tore his psoas, which is that big hip flexor muscle that runs from your spine to your femur across your pelvis there. I don't think his quad is torn. I don't think it's an adductor, but I think it's a hip flexor. It was a pretty severe injury. He got carried out of the gym on a stretcher. He couldn't move, couldn't walk, they couldn't do anything because once your core is gone, just try to get out of a chair without a hip flexor. He was like in a 10 out of 10 pain. Like he was sitting on the floor of the gym, like, I'm crippled, and had to wait for the ambulance, and just feel really bad for Jack right now. He's stuck at home, and he was getting ready for the Toronto Pro-Am. So now that's out the window, and he's got a bunch of black and blue on his hip, and he's got bruising, and just waiting for the details. So, I just wanted to send a shout out to him. He listens to all the podcasts, good guy. Everyone at my gym knows him, and, so get well, right. Jack. Hopefully he gets surgery ASAP. Our Canadian medical system has definitely let him down with the 3 weeks he's been sitting at home waiting for them to decide what's wrong with him. So it's been a real letdown. But I think he's going to be okay. He doesn't have like a ruptured quad or anything. His leg looks fine. So they'll figure out what's wrong with his groin and fix him up.
Yeah, you can keep competing with that. Nobody's going to say like, "Oh no," but he's got that. He's got that torn psoas. It's not like a bicep. Yeah. Right?
It's not a muscle you can see, right? Yeah, it's not visible injury. It's just a real bad injury for trying to get around and get in and out of your truck. And
I can only imagine.
I saw him the other day. He got out of his truck. He's driving now, but he like had to slide out. Like he has to put his legs out and kind of slide out onto his feet.
Yeah.
And and then when he goes to get back in, he has to like lift that leg back in. Like he can't, just brutal.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you break ribs, you know what I mean? You can't do
nothing.
You won't be able to do anything. Yeah.
You can't go to the gym and do arms.
No.
Yeah. You can't laugh.
No, you can't laugh.
Don't laugh. Don't breathe heavy. Like nothing.
Yeah. So anyways, Jack's very tenacious and young, so he'll heal up and do the next pro qualifier and win that show. So
sewn up a little BPC, you'll be good.
Yeah, a couple shots of BPC. You won't even need surgery.
Fine.
Okay. Are we good? Is that a good way to wrap the show up? Okay.
I think so.
Thanks, everybody. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
I was waiting for it. Remember, IamMutant.com. Get your all in. Get your ISO surge. And everyone should get on the gear.
Lots of gear.
Get on the gear. Think Big Patreon and all that stuff.
Thank you.
Remember, it's just bodybuilding.